The day the aliens came was sunny in Washington, D.C. Captain Olivia Bennett stood by the window in the Pentagon War Room, sipping her coffee. The large screens on the wall showed the same thing. A massive ship hanging in the sky above New York City. "It's really happening," she said to no one in particular. General Harris rushed in, his face red from running. "Bennett, the president wants you at the emergency meeting. You're our best space expert." Olivia nodded. 6 years commanding the space station had made her the closest thing America had to an alien expert. Not that anyone had expected real aliens. "What do we know about them?" she asked, following the general down the hallway. "They call themselves the Galactic Empire. They're broadcasting on all channels in perfect English, demanding to speak to Earth's leaders." The meeting room was packed with military officers, scientists, and government officials. Screens showed the alien ship, a huge dark metal thing shaped like an arrow, at least 2 miles long. The president looked up as Olivia entered. "Captain Bennett." "Good. The aliens have requested a meeting at the UN in 1 hour. I want you there." The United Nations building was surrounded by police, military vehicles, and news crews. Inside, world leaders sat in tense silence, waiting. Olivia sat with the American team, watching the doors. When the aliens entered, everyone gasped. They were tall, nearly 7 feet, with bodies like praying mantises, but walking upright. Their skin was blue-green and shiny, and they wore elaborate metal armor decorated with strange symbols. Their leader stepped forward. "I am Imperial Regent Lord Exaz Krill of the 7th Domain, representative of His Eternal Magnificence, Emperor Zontar the Undefeated, ruler of the 6 galaxies, conqueror of 10,000 worlds, master of time and space." Frank Miller, a young diplomat sitting next to Olivia, suddenly snorted with laughter. He quickly covered his mouth, but several people had already turned to look. Exaz Krill's insect-like eyes blinked rapidly. He continued, "We have come to inform you that your planet is now part of the Galactic Empire. Resistance is useless. Your technological level is primitive. Your military power is insignificant. You will submit to our superior evolutionary advancement." The room stayed quiet, but Olivia noticed something strange. The world leaders weren't looking scared. Many seemed amused. The Russian president was whispering something to the German chancellor, who was trying not to smile. The alien seemed confused by this reaction. His voice grew louder. "Perhaps you do not understand. We have conquered 10,000 worlds. Our weapons can destroy your cities in seconds. You will obey or face destruction." The UN Secretary General stood up. "We understand your claims, Lord Exaz Krill. But before Earth considers any response, we have questions." "Questions?" The alien's voice showed surprise. "Subject worlds do not ask questions." "Well, we do," said the Secretary General. "First, why would an advanced empire want Earth? What do we have that you need?" The alien's mouthparts moved in what might have been confusion. "This is not the usual protocol. You should be begging for mercy." Olivia couldn't help herself. She raised her hand. "Excuse me, but have you actually looked at our entertainment media? Our movies, books, TV shows? What relevance does your primitive entertainment have?" Exaz Krill asked. "We've been imagining alien invasions for over 100 years, Olivia explained. "And honestly, you're following the villain's script exactly. The big speech, the threats, the resistance is useless line. It's all very familiar." Frank added, "You even have the evil overlord costume. Those shoulder spikes are straight out of a video game." Whispers and chuckles spread through the room. The aliens looked at each other, clearly confused. Exaz Krill raised his voice again. "Silence. Your lack of fear is inappropriate. We are the Galactic Empire." "Yeah, about that name," said Frank. "We have movies called Star Wars with an evil galactic empire too. Did you guys watch our TV signals or something?" The alien commander's face was impossible to read, but his body language showed growing frustration. This was clearly not how first contact was supposed to go. "We will return tomorrow for your formal surrender," Xaz Krill finally said. "Consider the consequences of disrespect." As the aliens marched out, Olivia looked around the room. Many world leaders were now openly smiling. Somehow, humanity's first meeting with aliens had ended not with terror, but with barely contained laughter. The invasion had begun, but not how anyone, especially the aliens, had expected. Commander Alan Vance was not having a good day. The president had just named him official human liaison to the Galactic Empire. Now he sat in a conference room at the Pentagon, facing Dr. Zix, the alien cultural expert who looked like a blue grasshopper wearing a fancy robe. "I still do not understand," Zix said, his voice clicking. "Your leaders should be afraid." "This is the normal reaction." Alan shrugged. "Maybe we're just wired differently." The Imperial Cultural Assessment Team has studied 17 civilizations. All responded with appropriate fear. Zix's antenna twitched with frustration. Something is wrong with humans. "Nothing's wrong with us," Alan said. "We've just seen this all before." Zix looked confused. "You have encountered other galactic empires." "No, but we've imagined them. Look, I need to show you something." Alan turned on the TV. This might help explain. For the next hour, Alan showed Zix clips from movies and TV shows about alien invasions. Independence Day, War of the Worlds. The alien watched in silence, his large eyes blinking rapidly. "These are entertainment?" Zix finally asked. "Exactly. We've been telling stories about aliens trying to take over Earth for decades. Some of them look a lot like you guys." Zix's mandibles clicked rapidly. "Your species creates fiction about defeating superior forces. For fun. We love underdog stories. David versus Goliath. The little guy winning against the big bad empire." Ellen smiled. "It's kind of our thing." "Show me more," Zix demanded. The next day, Alan took Zix to a high school history class. The teacher was explaining the American Revolution. So the colonists, with their small, untrained army, defeated the world's greatest military power, the teacher said. The students listened with interest. Zix leaned over to Alan. "Your young are taught to admire rebellion against authority. We call it standing up for yourself," Alan whispered back. After class, Zix seemed troubled. "Your children learn about many such rebellions. The French Revolution, independence movements in Asia and Africa. Even your entertainment for young ones features small creatures defeating large empires." Ellen nodded. "Humans don't like bullies, no matter how big they are." Outside, they heard loud music and cheering. Ellen looked out the window and sighed. A crowd had gathered in the street, many wearing alien masks and costumes. Some carried signs that said, "We el su of me space boogies," and "We to money in peace, unless you are chaos." "What is this?" Zix asked, his voice rising. "That's what I was afraid of," Alan muttered. "It started already." "What has started?" "Humans making fun of things that scare them. It's how we cope." Ellen pointed to people taking selfies with the Imperial ship in the background. "See that? They're sharing these pictures online. Your invasion is going viral." Zix stared at the crowd. "But the Empire's warships have destroyed entire planets. How can they laugh?" "Because it's either laugh or be scared. And humans usually choose to laugh." Ellen checked his phone. "Oh boy. Have you seen what they're calling Lord X's Krill online? Space Lobster. There are memes everywhere." Zix's communication device beeped. He answered it, speaking quickly in his clicking language. When he finished, he turned to Alan, his posture rigid with what might have been anger. "The Imperial commander reports problems with intimidation protocols. Warships hovering over cities are being photographed. Threatening broadcasts are being remixed with music. This is unprecedented. Ellen tried not to smile. I could have told you that would happen. Zix stood up suddenly. I must report to my superiors. The Empire must know that standard subjugation methods are ineffective on humans. As Zix hurried away, Alan's phone buzzed. It was a message from the president. Keep the alien busy. The more they know about us, the more confused they'll get. And confusion is our best defense right now. Alan smiled as he watched Zix push through the crowd of laughing humans. The alien cultural expert was learning an important lesson. Earth might not have advanced weapons or space fleets, but it had something perhaps more powerful, a stubborn refusal to be intimidated. The invasion was only 2 days old, and already the aliens were the ones who seemed afraid. Vice Admiral Nancy Rodriguez adjusted her uniform as she stepped onto the shuttle that would take her team to the Imperial flagship. 5 other delegates from different countries stood with her, representing Earth in this formal assessment meeting. Remember, she told them quietly, they expect us to be scared. Let's stay professional, but don't act impressed. The shuttle ride was short. When they stepped out into the Imperial ship, Nancy had to admit it was impressive. The ceiling soared at least 50 feet high. Strange lights pulsed along the walls. Alien guards with ceremonial weapons stood at attention. This way, said their guide, a small green alien with 4 arms. The High Commander awaits. The assessment chamber was clearly designed to intimidate visitors. Giant screens showed planets being conquered. Display cases held strange weapons. The lighting was dim except for a bright spotlight on the human delegation. High Commander Kreshtor sat on a raised platform. He was larger than the other aliens they had seen, with dark blue skin and gold armor. When he spoke, his voice rumbled. Humans, you stand before the might of the Galactic Empire. Your world has been examined and found suitable for inclusion in our domain. Nancy nodded politely but said nothing. Kreshtor seemed annoyed by her calm response. He pressed a button, and a 3D map of Earth appeared in the air. Your planet has been categorized as a Class 4 agricultural supply planet. You will provide food resources to Imperial worlds. Advanced technology will be restricted. Military development will cease. One of the human delegates, Dr. Sam Rivera, raised his hand. You expect us to be your farmers? He asked. Kreshtor blinked his large eyes. This is a great honor. Many worlds are simply stripped of resources and abandoned. Nancy stepped forward. Commander, with all respect, this doesn't make sense. You traveled across the galaxy to make us grow space wheat for you. It is not just wheat, the alien leader said, sounding defensive. Many imperial delicacies can grow in Earth's climate. The Chinese delegate, Lin Wei, couldn't help but laugh. So we're going to be your vegetable garden. The mighty empire needs us to grow your salad. Kreshtor stood up, clearly angry now. You fail to understand your position. Your species has no unified government, minimal space presence, and outdated weaponry. Yet you behave as though you hold some advantage. Explain this. Nancy shrugged. We've been imagining this scenario in our stories for centuries. You're basically following the villain's handbook from 100 different movies. Kreshtor's eyes narrowed. Show me these movies. An hour later, the Imperial leadership sat in stunned silence. Nancy had shown them clips from Earth's most famous sci-fi films, alien invasions, evil empires, and humans always finding a way to win against impossible odds. These are not real events, Kreshtor said slowly, trying to understand. No, but they prepared us mentally, Nancy explained. When you arrived with your big ships and scary speeches, it felt familiar. We already had a script for how this goes. And in our stories, Earth always wins. A smaller alien rushed in and whispered something to Kreshtor. The commander's face darkened. My information officer reports that humans are creating humorous content about the Empire. Images called memes that mock our appearance and customs are spreading globally. Yeah, That sounds like us, Nancy said. Kreshtor stood suddenly. This assessment is now complete. Humans are clearly not suitable for standard conquest protocols. As they were led back to their shuttle, Nancy noticed the alien guards watching them differently, not with contempt, but with curiosity. One even seemed to be hiding a smile. On the return trip to Earth, Dr. Rivera leaned over to Nancy. "What do you think they'll do now? Attack?" Nancy shook her head. "I don't think so." They looked confused, not angry. Their whole system is built on people being afraid of them, and we're not playing along. So what happens next? Nancy smiled. "I think we just need to keep doing what humans do best, refuse to take them seriously. They have no idea how to handle that." As their shuttle approached Earth, they could see something new, enormous floating billboards near the alien ships, advertising Earth tourism with slogans like "Visit Earth, home of the unimpressed," and "Take a selfie with a real alien invader." The human resistance had begun, armed not with weapons, but with humor. Major Greg Hoffman had prepared for war. As head of the newly formed Alien Response Unit, he had spent the first week of the invasion making plans for guerrilla warfare against superior forces. He had maps of potential hiding spots, lists of weak points in alien technology, and training programs for civilian resistance fighters. None of it was needed. Now he sat in his office, watching a live feed from Denver, where the aliens had built their first ground base. The screen showed a crowd of people surrounding the base. They weren't attacking. They were having a party. "Sir, you need to see this," said Lieutenant Kelly Barnes, rushing in with a tablet. "The food trucks have arrived." Greg looked at the tablet. At least 20 food trucks had parked near the alien base, selling tacos, burgers, and ice cream to the crowd. One truck had a sign reading "Alien SPCIALS." No actual aliens were HRMED. Greg sighed. "This is not how I thought this would go." "It gets better," Kelly said. The alien commander came out to order the trucks to leave, and someone offered him a taco. He ate it. Now half the base is ordering Mexican food. Greg couldn't help but laugh. "Are we fighting an invasion or hosting a welcome party?" "Both, sir, and it's working better than any military plan." Inside the Denver base, Imperial Governor Vextal was having the worst day of his long career. The reports to his superiors were embarrassing. Humans continue to disobey standard occupation protocols, he dictated. They approach guards to ask for selfies. They'd bring food offerings. Yesterday, a group arrived with musical instruments and performed outside the gate for 3 hours. His assistant, a junior officer named Krill, looked nervous. "Sir, there's a new situation outside." "What now?" Vextal asked, his voice tired. "A human female has organized something called Hug an Alien Day. Large numbers are gathering." Vextal rushed to the window. Outside, he saw hundreds of humans wearing T-shirts with friendly alien faces printed on them. A woman with a megaphone was speaking to the crowd. "Remember, ask permission before hugging," she called out. "Respect their personal space, but show them Earth welcomes friendly visitors." "That's Heather Douglas," Krill said. "She owns the drinking establishment across the street. Our soldiers have been visiting it off-duty." "They what?" Vextal turned in shock. "Imperial troops are socializing with locals." Krill looked down. "The humans have a beverage called beer. Several officers have developed a taste for it." Vextal slammed his fist on the desk. "This is unacceptable. We are conquerors, not tourists." "Yes, sir. But the humans don't seem to understand that. They treat our soldiers like visitors who might spend money." Outside, the first brave aliens were receiving hugs from smiling humans. Some looked confused. Others seemed secretly pleased by the attention. Across town, Major Hoffman was meeting with his team of military advisors in a secured room. "Our original plan was to fight," he told them. "But something better is happening. The aliens have no defense against friendship." Colonel Jack Wilson nodded. Their whole system is built around fear and obedience. They don't know what to do when people treat them like exchange students instead of invaders. Exactly, said Greg. So here's our new plan. Operation Kill with Kindness. He showed them a map of all Imperial bases worldwide. Each base needs a welcome committee, food trucks, street performers, tour guides offering to show alien troops local sites. Let's make them the most confused invaders in history. Kelly raised her hand. Sir, reports say some aliens are already breaking protocol to try local customs. 3 were seen at a karaoke bar last night. Greg smiled. Perfect. The Empire expects resistance they can crush with force. Instead, we're melting their discipline with hot dogs and pop music. As they left the meeting, Greg looked at a new report on his phone. Somewhere in Iowa, a farmer had invited alien soldiers to a barbecue. In Tokyo, a group of grandmothers was teaching aliens how to fold origami. In Rio, there were aliens on the beach trying to learn soccer. The invasion was falling apart not because of human weapons, but because of human friendliness. And the Empire had no protocol for that. Dr. Lisa Chen never expected to save the world with paperwork. As a xenolinguistics expert, she had spent the first days of the invasion studying the aliens' language and communication patterns. What she discovered was unexpected. The Empire was obsessed with rules, forms, and protocols. They're bureaucrats, she explained to the president in the White House Situation Room. Their entire empire runs on paperwork and regulations. Everything needs proper approval. The president looked confused. How does that help us? Lisa smiled. I grew up with parents who ran a small business. I know how to fight bureaucracy. We can drown them in their own system. 2 days later, Lisa's plan was in action. She had created a special department with one mission: overwhelm the Imperial administration with paperwork. Lisa walked through her new office, where hundreds of volunteers worked at computers. They were filing thousands of forms with the Imperial Administration Center. How's the housing accommodation request project going? She asked her assistant, Ben. We've filed 10,000 forms requesting special housing for humans with made-up medical conditions, Ben said. Each one requires review by at least 3 different Imperial departments. Lisa nodded happily. And the religious exemption forms. Even better, we've created 200 fake human religions, each with specific requirements that conflict with Imperial regulations. They have to process every single one. Across the room, a young man raised his hand. Dr. Chen, I just discovered something great. Their system automatically forwards appeals to higher authorities, even ones that don't exist. Lisa hurried over. Show me. The man pointed to his screen. I made up an Imperial Office of Human Comfort Assessment. It doesn't exist, but the system doesn't know that. It's trying to route thousands of our complaints there. Perfect, Lisa said. Keep it up. In the main Imperial Processing Center, Senior Administrator Zexnar was having a breakdown. I don't understand, he told his assistant. No species has ever generated this much administrative traffic. We have a backlog of 2 million human forms. His assistant looked worried. The worst part is the appeals. They're citing Imperial regulations we've never heard of. Because they're making them up, Zexnar shouted. But we have to check each one against the official rulebook. It's taking all our staff just to process the incoming forms. A junior officer rushed in. Sir, we have a new problem. A human named Kevin Ward has started something called Imperial Fashion Critique on their global information network. What is that? Zexnar asked. He comments on the uniforms and ceremonial outfits of high-ranking officials. It's very popular, even on some of our subject worlds. Zexnar collapsed into his chair. This can't be happening. We are the Galactic Empire. We conquer worlds. We don't get fashion advice from primitive species. There's more, the junior officer said quietly. Some of our troops on Earth have started changing their uniforms based on human suggestions. Back on Earth, Lisa met with Major Hoffman to update him on the bureaucratic warfare. "It's working better than we expected," she told him. "Their entire administrative system is swamped. They can't process real orders because they're drowning in our fake requests." Greg nodded. "And my teams report that Imperial discipline is breaking down worldwide. Their soldiers are starting to ignore rules, try local food, even make friends with humans. The best part," Lisa said, showing him her tablet, "is that this is spreading. We've managed to send humans to other Imperial worlds as cultural consultants. They're teaching our methods to other species." "What methods exactly?" Greg asked. "How to laugh at authority, how to use the Empire's own rules against it, how to treat scary aliens like regular people." Lisa smiled. Turns out, humor might be Earth's greatest export. On her tablet, they watched a video from an Imperial world light years away. Aliens with 6 legs were teaching Imperial troops to dance. In the background, someone who looked suspiciously human was recording it all, laughing. The Empire had weapons that could destroy planets, but they had no defense against being treated like a joke. Captain Eric Jones sat in his office aboard the Defiant, Earth's newest defense ship. It wasn't much compared to the Imperial warships, just a converted space station with some basic weapons. But it was a start. 3 weeks into the invasion, and humans were already adapting. His computer beeped. An unexpected message was coming in on a secure channel. Eric opened it cautiously. A nervous-looking alien appeared on screen. "Captain Jones, I am Trilnax, Imperial Logistics Officer, 3rd Class. I need to speak with you privately." Eric raised an eyebrow. "I'm listening." "I wish to. Defect, I believe, is your term. I have important information." The alien looked over his shoulder as if afraid of being caught. "Can we meet?" 2 hours later, Trilnax sat across from Eric in a small conference room. The alien played with his hands nervously. "The Imperial Council is in chaos," Trilnax explained. "No species has ever responded to subjugation like humans. You've revealed contradictions in our system that have been hidden for millennia." "What do you mean?" Eric asked. "The Empire's power has always relied on the perception of invincibility. We arrive, we make big threats, planets surrender. It's been the same for thousands of years." Trilnax sighed. "Until Earth." Eric couldn't help but smile. "We're stubborn that way." "It's not just stubbornness. It's your use of humor." The alien looked genuinely confused. "You laugh at things that should frighten you. This is new to us." "So what's happening in the Empire now?" Trilnax's voice dropped to a whisper. "Reports from Earth are spreading. Other worlds are starting to question Imperial rule. Some are even making jokes about Imperial officials." "Jokes?" Eric tried not to look too pleased. "Yes, on Zeltrax Prime, they're sharing images of the Supreme Commander with funny captions. On Rigel 9, they've created a dance that mocks Imperial marching. It's spreading like a disease." Eric nodded slowly. "We call that going viral." Across the galaxy, the Imperial Council held an emergency meeting. 12 of the Empire's highest leaders sat around a table, their faces grim. "The situation is unprecedented," said the Supreme Military Commander. "Earth remains unconquered not through force, but through behavior we cannot control." "Explain again what they are doing," demanded the High Chancellor. "They're treating our conquest as if it's amusing. They invite our troops to social gatherings. They create humorous content about Imperial policies. They overwhelm our administrative systems with nonsensical requests." A younger council member spoke up. "Perhaps we should simply destroy their major cities. Show them our true power." The room went quiet. Finally, the oldest member spoke. "That would only validate their resistance. For the first time in Imperial history, fear is not working. If we resort to destruction, we admit our authority alone is not enough." The Supreme Commander nodded. "There's another problem. Some of our own troops are being influenced. They're breaking protocols, adopting human customs, questioning orders. "What about the other worlds?" asked the High Chancellor. "Worse than we feared. 57 planets are showing signs of what we're calling Earth behavior. The perception of our invincibility is cracking." The High Chancellor stood up. "Then we must try something new. Contact Earth. Offer negotiation, not as subjects, but as potential allies." Allies? Several council members looked shocked. "Yes, if we cannot rule them through fear, perhaps we can contain their influence by bringing them into our system. Make them partners before they become our downfall." Back on Earth, Ambassador Michelle Hayes received the Imperial message with surprise. "They want to negotiate," she asked her team. "As equals." Her advisor nodded. "It seems our strategy is working. They don't know how to handle us." Michelle smiled as she read the formal request. "They think we planned this as some sophisticated psychological warfare strategy. They have no idea we're just being ourselves." "What do we do now?" her advisor asked. Michelle looked at the latest reports from around the world. Imperial troops were attending baseball games in America, learning to cook pasta in Italy, and taking surfing lessons in Australia. The invasion had turned into a cultural exchange program. "Now," she said, "we show them what humans are really good at, making friends with former enemies." The Empire had come to conquer Earth. Instead, Earth was conquering the Empire, with laughter, friendship, and stubborn refusal to be afraid. Director Peter Collins never expected to stand before the Imperial Assembly. Yet here he was, the first representative of a non-member world ever invited to address the governing body of the Galactic Empire. The chamber was enormous. 10,000 delegates from different worlds sat in curved rows that rose high above the speaking platform. Most had never seen a human before and watched Peter with great interest. "Members of the Imperial Assembly," Peter began, his voice calm. "6 weeks ago, your ships arrived at Earth expecting an easy conquest. Today, I stand before you not as a subject, but as a partner in creating a new future for the galaxy." The room was silent. This was not how conquered worlds spoke to the Empire. "Humans don't want to destroy the Empire," Peter continued. "We simply believe that any government should be able to withstand being laughed at. Authority maintained only through fear isn't authority at all. It's just bullying on a cosmic scale." A low murmur spread through the assembly. On planets across the Empire, billions watched the broadcast. For many, it was the first time they had heard anyone speak to Imperial leadership this way. "Earth proposes a new structure," Peter said. "A galactic commonwealth where member worlds have representation and the Empire serves as an administrative backbone rather than an absolute authority." As Peter spoke, he noticed a group of younger Imperial officials nodding in agreement. These were the reformists he had been told about, younger members of ruling houses who had been influenced by human ideas. When Peter finished his short speech, the assembly erupted in discussion. Some delegates seemed angry, but many more looked excited by the new possibilities. Back on Earth, people gathered in homes and public squares to watch the broadcast from the Imperial capital. In the White House Situation Room, the President and his advisors watched nervously. "Will they accept our proposal?" asked the Secretary of State. The President shrugged. "Who would have thought our greatest weapon against alien invasion would be our sense of humor?" On the screen, they saw the Imperial Council vote. One by one, the council members pressed buttons on their desks. The final tally appeared. The proposal had passed by a narrow margin. Earth would not be conquered. Instead, it would join a reformed galaxy as an equal member. 1 month later, Olivia Bennett stood on the observation deck of the Imperial Palace. Beside her was Lord Exaz Krill, the once fearsome Imperial Regent, who had first announced Earth's conquest. Below them, representatives from hundreds of worlds mingled freely in the Grand Hall. Many were laughing and talking with a new openness that would have been unthinkable before. "I still don't understand," Exaz Krill admitted. "How did you defeat us without firing a shot?" Olivia smiled. "The most powerful weapon humans have isn't technology. It's our ability to look at something terrifying and find something absurd about it. We've been laughing in the face of doom since we first existed. But laughter doesn't stop laser cannons, the alien said, confused. No, but it stops fear. And your whole empire was built on fear. Olivia pointed to the crowd below. Look at them now. They're not afraid anymore. In the center of the hall, a human diplomat was teaching aliens from 7 different worlds how to do the chicken dance. Nearby, an imperial general was trying Earth ice cream for the first time, his eyes wide with delight. The new Galactic Commonwealth Treaty will be signed tomorrow, HFY said. Many worlds are already adopting Earth customs. Your species has changed everything in just a few months. That's just the beginning, Olivia replied. Wait until we teach you about pizza parties, karaoke nights, and stand-up comedy. HFY's face showed what might have been a smile. Perhaps conquest by laughter is not so bad after all. As the new Galactic Commonwealth prepared to begin, humans had already started their next revolutionary contribution to galactic society, teaching aliens how to have fun. The invasion was over. The friendship had just begun. *****************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************